I'd like to just show you for a minute what the input buttons on the F16 can do. Let's look at the input tab. Now we can program each of the 4 buttons to do, and there's a whole list here of the options of what we can tell those buttons to do. Now the number of options and the configuration will vary depending on, let's go to the status tab, what mode your board is set. So for instance, we've been in DDP. Let's look at setting it as a remote player. And this would be a situation where you would have a Raspberry Pi that is your master running FPP, and the Pi is sending out excuse me, the sequence data to the various controllers on your network. So let's set it for remote. And now let's look at the buttons. Let's go back to the status page. Let's set it for master, set, and this would be a situation where you want to upload the sequences that you have to the SD card on the F16 itself and then play them directly from the board without having to use a Pi. And in this mode, again, I'll go over to the status page. In master mode, if we look at the configuration of the inputs, the 4 buttons, you can see now that I have them set for button 1 to play the first playlist, button number 2 to play the next song, button 3 to play the previous song, and the 4th button to stop. If you look at the options available, you can see now there are quite a number of other options, and one that opens up a whole new world is send an FPP event. So now if you have a Pi connected to your network and you're running FPP on the Pi, you can tell this F16 board in master mode, once you've set the IP address of the Pi itself, you can send it or tell it to send these various FPP events to the Pi. And in FPP on the Pi, you can set up your own events of what a trigger will cause the Pi to do. And there's a whole world of options I won't go into, but that's some pretty cool stuff. And that's something that you can certainly experiment with and play with all day long. And you can see there are quite a number of options. So you can program and set those buttons to do all kinds of things. And I've found a number of uses that work pretty well for me. But again, if you go back to DDP mode, which is the mode that I use when I'm using another controller or a Pi to send the data to the F16, you'll see that those button inputs change, and now you have a more limited number of options, but you still have the send FPP events and send the ArtNet triggers, etc. So they're still powerful and plenty that you can do.